Our story begins in a land of hills and valleys called Canaan, where a large family lived in tents. The father's name was Jacob, and he had 12 sons who worked as shepherds, taking care of many sheep and goats. But Jacob loved one son more than all the others. His name was Joseph. Maybe it was because Joseph was born when Jacob was very old, or because Joseph's mother was Rachel, the wife Jacob loved most. To show everyone this special love, Jacob had a beautiful coat made just for Joseph. This was not a simple shepherd's cloak. It was a long, splendid robe with brilliant colors woven together, a coat meant for a prince, not a field worker. When Joseph put on that coat, it made his brothers whisper and frown with jealousy. They knew it meant their father loved Joseph best. To make matters worse, Joseph began to have strange and grand dreams. One night, he dreamed he and his brothers were tying up bundles of grain in a field. Suddenly, his bundle stood straight up, while his brothers' bundles gathered around and bowed down to it. Another time, he dreamed the sun, the moon, and 11 stars were all bowing down to him. Joseph, perhaps not understanding how his words would sting, told these dreams to his whole family. His brothers' jealousy boiled into anger. "What?" they grumbled. "Do you really think you are going to rule over us?" Even Jacob was puzzled, but he remembered Joseph's words. The beautiful coat and the towering dreams created a deep crack in the family, filled with resentment and waiting for a moment to break open. One day, Jacob sent Joseph on an important errand. His brothers were grazing the flocks far from home near a place called Shechem. "Go and see if your brothers and the flocks are safe," Jacob said, "and bring back a report for me." Joseph put on his special coat and set off across the countryside. From a distance, his brothers saw a speck of bright color moving toward them through the fields. They knew immediately it was Joseph. The sight of him coming, probably to check on their work, made their old hatred flare up like a fire. "Look, here comes that dreamer," they said to each other. "This is our chance. Let us kill him and throw his body into one of these deep, empty pits. We can say a wild animal ate him. Then we will see what becomes of his wonderful dreams." The oldest brother, Reuben, heard this terrible plan and knew he had to stop it. He did not want Joseph's blood on their hands. "Let us not kill him," Reuben said. "Just throw him into the pit out here in the wilderness, but do not hurt him." Reuben said this, secretly hoping he could come back later, pull Joseph out, and return him safely to their father. So when Joseph arrived, smiling and unaware, his brothers grabbed him. They tore the beautiful coat from his back, the very symbol of their father's favor. They shoved him down into the dark, dry stone pit, where he cried and begged for mercy. Then they sat down nearby, on the hard ground, and calmly ate their lunch, ignoring his frightened calls from the hole in the earth. As the brothers ate, they noticed a cloud of dust on the horizon. It grew into a line of camels, a trader caravan journeying from a land called Gilead, all the way down to the powerful country of Egypt. The camels were loaded with sweet-smelling spices and valuable gum. Another brother, named Judah, saw the traders and had a different, slightly less terrible idea. "What good will it do us to kill our brother and hide his death?" Judah asked. "He is our own flesh and blood. Let us sell him instead." The other brothers agreed. They pulled Joseph, dusty and terrified, out of the pit. They sold their own brother to the traveling merchants for 20 pieces of silver, the price of a common slave. The traders took Joseph, and the caravan continued its slow walk toward Egypt, taking Joseph farther and farther from his home and everything he knew. Back in Canaan, the brothers had to explain Joseph's disappearance. They took his special coat, the one they had ripped from him, and dipped it in the blood of a goat they had killed. They carried the stained, torn robe back to their father, Jacob. "We found this," they lied. "Do you recognize it?" Jacob knew the coat at once. He cried out in agony, "It is my son's coat! A wild animal has devoured him! Joseph has surely been torn to pieces!" Jacob's heart broke. He put on rough sackcloth clothes to show his mourning and wept for his son day after day. His family tried to comfort him, but he refused all comfort, saying he would grieve for Joseph until the day he died. While Jacob lived in deep sadness, far away in Egypt, Joseph was sold again, this time to a high-ranking official of the Pharaoh named Potiphar. This began a long and difficult journey for Joseph, from the slave market to a prison cell. But because he was wise, and because God was with him, he would one day rise to incredible power, becoming the governor of all Egypt. Many years later, a terrible famine spread over the whole earth. There was no food in Canaan, and Jacob heard there was grain stored in Egypt. He sent his 10 oldest sons, the very ones who had betrayed Joseph, down to Egypt to buy food so the family would not starve. When they arrived, they had to bow low before the mighty Egyptian governor who controlled all the grain. They did not recognize this important man, dressed in fine linen with a gold chain around his neck, but he recognized them immediately. It was Joseph, all grown up. His heart pounded as he saw his brothers bowing before him, just like in his childhood dreams. Joseph decided to test them to see if they had changed. He spoke to them through an interpreter, pretending not to know them. He accused them of being spies and demanded they bring their youngest brother, Benjamin, to Egypt to prove their story. After a long and scary time, the brothers finally returned with Benjamin. Seeing his full younger brother filled him with such emotion, he had to leave the room to cry. Then he set one last test, secretly having his own silver cup placed in Benjamin's sack. When the cup was discovered, Joseph said Benjamin must stay in Egypt as his slave. This is when Judah, the brother who had suggested selling Joseph long ago, stepped forward. He begged the governor to take him as a slave instead of Benjamin, explaining how much it would destroy their old father to lose Rachel's last son. Seeing Judah's selfless love and hearing his brother's true remorse, Joseph could not keep his secret any longer. He sent all the Egyptians from the room and, with tears streaming down his face, said in their own language, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" His brothers were stunned and frightened to even speak. But Joseph comforted them. "Do not be angry with yourselves for what you did. God sent me ahead of you to save lives. It was not you who sent me here, but God, so that I could save our family in this great famine." The family was brought to Egypt, and Jacob was reunited with the son he thought was dead. What had begun with a coat and a betrayal ended with forgiveness, provision, and a promise of new life.